Oh, say, can
Dude,
you
we freaking
see?
did it. Yes, we freaking did it. Unbelievable.
I feel like I was a big part of it,
You think
even
so? Huh?
though I was no part of it. But just by being from the good old US of A. Wow, thought we had a really good shot, and the boys pulled through.
Oh, it feels so good.
The
It
boys
feels so
pulled
good.
through.
It's been how long?
It's been like 10 years.
10
or
years,
11
I think,
years.
right? 11 years?
So long. And before that, because I was young and I didn't pay much attention to it back then, I'm pretty sure we used to always win.
Always.
And then we just never could win,
Which
makes sense. And we can talk about that a little bit more in detail, I guess. But the Supercross specialists put it to them.
Dude.
The Supercross specialists put it to them.
I'm so happy.
Really good. And yes, it's home court advantage. But I think that plays the smallest factor of all of the variables. You know, like a variable is there was mud.
Mm-hmm.
A variable is there's all like new people out there racing different classes. So there's a lot that's going on. I think that the excuse from other people would be it's home court advantage, right? Do you think that plays a big factor? Probably definitely a factor.
I mean, but think about it. Like, basically all the other teams race on that track too. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. 2/3 of Team Australia race that track. Like,
fair.
It's not
and
like
they were technically like second or third best. Australia got third. Who got second? Belgium or Italy or France?
I don't even know. I didn't care. I'm just glad we won.
It's so much to keep up with, and I feel bad because I should know. I know most of the names, pretty much all of the names, I guess. I just don't know much about them, and I certainly don't know where they're from.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm starting to learn, like I wrote down a little notepad over here to my right. I wrote Geerts, the Geerts guy from Belgium, who was pretty fast, not pretty fast, very fast. That was behind Tomac, that one moto. That was pretty impressive. But then again, think about what the track conditions, you know, like the fact that Tomac could beat a sand specialist on a muddy track outdoors in sand.
Yeah, it was deep.
I think that's almost more impressive for Tomac. Although, the Geerts guy, I think he had just gone 450, so super impressive.
Yeah. No, what? Oh, man.
Did you watch all of it? How did you watch it, by the way? Because I just watched highlights.
I found it on YouTube.
Okay. Well, I watched as much as I could on YouTube, too.
Yeah.
Who, did you find it from somebody that, like, ripped off full motos? Or
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, the full moto on YouTube.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair.
It was awesome. They
Fair
only
play.
had like 3,000 views on them. I was stoked. Dude, I tried. Yeah. Oh, man. Me trying to... Because it was $35 or $36 to watch it online. And I was like,
okay,
I ain't get that kind of budget. So I dug and found it on YouTube. But
how could you watch it legitimately? I mostly just watch like race highlights from MXGP, whatever the heck it's called, and from Racer X, and that's how I saw.
Yeah, you can go on MXGP's website and you can buy the package to see the races.
And it was $36 just for one race, or does that just like basically get
just
you
for
the
Motocross of Nations? So you get to see the weekend.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I did hear the broadcast in its entirety was good. And by the way, folks, the reason I didn't get the broadcast is because I just don't have time to be sitting there. Well, I wish I'd like to just eat some popcorn and sit there and watch the whole thing in its entirety. But
popcorn's good.
I just had to. In fact, I had to catch up this morning. I woke up at 6:30 and just watched as much as I possibly could before we hopped on this podcast. So I generally knew what was going on. I knew Jet killed it. I knew we won. And other than that, I didn't know too much.
Oh.
So I want to get my facts straight so I didn't get yelled at.
Gosh, I'm so happy. I'm just so happy.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's talk. Who's the fastest, based on that race, who's the fastest person in the world? I think I have my answer.
I'm sure you have your answer. What's your answer?
What's your answer?
I have no... Dude, I don't know. How do you even say that?
It's a completely unfair thing to say, but based on this race alone, who do you pick?
Well, not all the motos were equal. You know what I mean? Just tell me your answer. I don't want to be judged.
Jet Lawrence.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess. Also, I was not friends with Jet for the last 3 days. We can be friends again, though.
Oh, right, because we were Team America.
Yep.
I wore my USA shirt, by the way.
Nice. I was staying loyal.
This was the most USA thing I had. I was hoping I had an American flag floating around or something.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about what Jet did. Qualifying.
So do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I don't really
I know
have
it's impossible to pick based on this race because there was like big high level guys like Prado and like 2 or 3 other big name dudes that were sort of just shuffled back further than I expected. So it is really, really hard to put too much merit on one race, but that's what people want.
Here's what I think Jet could do. I honestly think he could do this, and let me know if you disagree. You know how every rider who goes from a 250 to a 450 has a couple bad years before they get good?
Yeah.
I feel like Jet could
skip that.
After what we saw at Motocross Nations, once again, you and I were talking about this maybe off a podcast where we were talking about like it looked like Jet had 20 to 25% more in the tank all year this year.
He looked like that again.
But wanted to win the championship, right? So he wasn't going all out. Motocross Nations looked the same way. It looked like he had a lot more. Did it not? And we're just speaking body language, right? Like obviously his technique's amazing, but he was doing okay, so after the leap, he was hopping through that corner, for lack of a better term, in a way that didn't look like it should have worked. And he made it look like he was strolling through it. I don't know. Does Jet skip those 2 bad years? Like,
yeah, I'd say so. I think Chase would have skipped the bad year to bad year and a half had he not had those. I wish I could pinpoint a little bit better what Chase had going on with his situation, but I would assume that it's tiny mental slip-ups. And the reason you would guess that is because they would, for the majority, all happen while he was leading and while it was late in the race. So it's hard to not speculate that that's mental of some sort. I don't think Jet has that. I think Jet is almost like his mind goes blank. He doesn't think of stuff in those situations the way that I think Chase would think of things.
Yeah.
I think Chase was guilty of getting down to those last couple laps and like maybe overthinking. Jet doesn't do that. Jet does not do that at all. So, and their technique between Chase and Jet, very, very similar, very comparable. By the way, and Hunter's included in that as well. Hunter rides very, very similar to Jet. I think Hunter just obviously being on the 250, getting decent starts for being on 250, but worse starts and kind of getting buried, didn't get quite as much TV time, but did ride really well in the qualifying race. Mm-hmm. Those guys do not look like anybody else out there.
Yeah. Just,
the Geertz guy, I don't care what name you give to me, not even on the same planet. I'm sorry. Like not even like this Geertz guy, for example, very fast. But if you go back and watch, elbows tucked in, mm-hmm. head all over the place, feet shifted forward, so riding flat-footed in a lot of spots. And if you watch his left knee entering corners, he would literally disconnect his knee from the shroud and let the bike, like he was Graham Jarvis riding mm-hmm. hard enduro, wiggle in between his knees. That's not correct.
Yeah.
It's not. So yes, this Geertz guy can go extremely fast. He did extremely well considering, I don't know how old he is, but I think he just moved up to the 450. These are all easy fixes to implement. But if you compare that to the way that Jet rides the bike, I'm sorry, I will pick Jet every single time. I will pick Sexton every single time.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like they're trying.
Right. The amount of energy that they're saving, for instance, by riding the way they do versus having your elbows down, you're fighting the bike the whole time. That, not to mention consistency, everything. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I was actually very surprised to see that guy when he and Tomac were next to each other. I was like, what is he doing? His elbows are like by his waist.
Yeah,
It
because
was very weird.
doesn't have traditionally picture perfect technique either.
But it looked great next to him.
But it looked good compared to the Geertz guy. And again,
Yeah, obviously he's amazing. I mean,
yeah, and he would have lapped me. You know what I mean? But you can't watch that race and tell me that you don't recognize that. So I think that's good. I think I think it really put on display how important technique has to be moving forward for all of these guys. And I know that they ride primarily loose, more sandy tracks, but in my opinion, upper body stability and footwork when you're riding loose, sandy tracks only becomes more important because it's easier to knife the front. You saw a lot of the crashes that happened, like Sewer. I don't know how to say these names. Jeez, the Jeremy Sewer.
as if I know. I don't know.
Upper body stability crash. Dylan Ferrandis, upper body stability crash. And yeah, his knees blew forward. There's other things that go into it as well. But these crashes don't just happen. Mm-hmm. They happen because technically something goes wrong along the way. And nobody can be perfect, but that's why I would pick Jet. That's why I would pick Hunter. That's why I would pick Sexton over these guys. Consistency every single weekend, week out. If there was Motocross of Nations every weekend, you would see Jet, you would see Sexton, and I have to lump Hunter into that category as well. Rise to the top. Also, did you see I got notes over here. Did you see the number 47 guy on the Yamaha 250, Ferris? I think he's from Spain.
Okay.
Don't know which race I saw him in doing well, but his technique looked quite good.
Oh.
I think Spanish rider, 250 guy, his technique looked very promising. Very still upper body and looked good. Hey, you want to know what else was really important to Motocross of Nations? What you had to have? Almost? A Yamaha.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Did you know?
Yeah.
Or a Honda.
Yeah.
Or a Honda. It seemed like you had to have a Honda or a Yamaha to get a good start.
Wasn't that weird? I wonder what okay, so you know how, like, I remember Tony Caroli was talking about this a lot when he came to the U.S. for outdoors this year. Like how MXGP, you can have like crazy modded bikes. Like they don't have to be factory at all. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea how that works with Motocross of Nations? Because I sure don't.
I don't.
I just wonder if they had better bikes or if they were on worse bikes than they're used to. And if that plays a factor at all. I can't imagine they would just conform to the American rules all of a sudden.
I think it's if anything, it's conforming to the MXGP rules.
Of course. I mean, it's the MXGP class, right? Like,
so that would be my guess. Speaking of bike modifications, how about Hardy Munoz jumping the leap on a KX 250F, and he's the first one to do it?
Yeah. Wow.
Cheater bike. What?
Huh? Nah.
What'd you say? Which is fine. I mean, you might as well, because how are you going to compete with Star otherwise? But you can't tell me that that's not.
So
he's jumping the leap on a KX 250F before the Star bikes.
Okay,
on a Cowie privateer bike.
How about, dude? I apologize. Not that he's ever going to meet me or ever going to know this. I was in that group of people who saw Justin Cooper as the weak link of the team, and holy crap, did he killed it. He killed it. Mm-hmm. You know, like qualifying.
I saw that comment. I really thought, because the dude.
So here's the reason.
He deals with pressure really well.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead. You go first.
Well, no, I was just going to say, like, he was coming off an injury, right? So his outdoor season was not what it could have been. Like, Justin Cooper obviously is unfreaking believable. Like, and I think Motocross of Nations, he's back to 100% now, which reminds me that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, you know, just in Supercross or whatever. But my gosh, he killed it. Like, qualifying 2-1-2, Justin Cooper, like, topping his class, and then Sexton and Tomac coming in second. Like, just wild. Oh, he did awesome.
Yeah.
So cool to watch.
Respect. I mean, props to all of those guys. Right. I assumed and guessed that Cooper would do well for a couple of reasons. One, Justin has proved to have been really good under pressure, it seems. Like the last round at Outdoors when Jet was having all of his issues. Remember 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. And did Justin Cooper go 1-1 or he did really well?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's performing under pressure. That's one thing too. I think that he was only on a trend going upward coming back from the injury to where he was getting more and more healthy. 3, I think that Justin is naturally just good at Redbud. Home track plays a lot into probably his mindset in that race day. And then this is the big thing. Justin, well, he's on a Yamaha. I knew he would get good starts, and that would help with the starts, which is huge. And he's a good starter anyhow. Justin has really good upper body stability, really good. He's like Cooper Webb, where his elbows don't really budge. If I had to pick upper body stability or footwork when it comes to mud, I'd pick upper body stability. Because in the mud, the feet are naturally just kind of ending up where they end up sometimes. You're gonna dab your foot in the mud. You're gonna drag your foot on occasion. If you can have really good upper body stability, that's the guy that is consistent and won't crash in muddy or sandy conditions. So I had a feeling that would be the case. But yeah, man. We did it.
Finally. It's been a long time.
We did it. Oh, just the big thing is like, I'm sick of the other countries just talking smack, man.
Right?
And if anybody has excuses, you would think that it's us because we ride Supercross. Like, come on now, we ride Supercross. Your guys all ride outdoors all the time, with the exception of Team Australia, 2/3 of Team Australia, because they're right there with the Supercross only guys. Yeah. Yep. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I'm glad I didn't go though, because I wouldn't have wanted to just stand there in the rain.
Yeah, I guess so.
If you guys are enjoying these podcast clips and you want to watch full episodes, you can subscribe at club.themotoacademy.com.